The August 7th, 2025 meeting of the Mount Pleasant Planning Commission is now called to order. Ms. Povodicka, will you please take roll call?
Commissioner Devaney,
Here.
Commissioner Farley,
Here.
Commissioner Friedrich,
Here.
Commissioner Havels,
Here.
Commissioner Kingsworthy,
Here.
Commissioner Leash,
Here.
Commissioner Ortman.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda. Does anyone have any changes you would like to make?
Move to approve the agenda. I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the July 10th, 2025 Planning Commission regular meeting. Does anybody have any changes you'd like to make to the minutes?
Move to approve the minutes of the July 10th, 2025 regular meeting.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. The next item on our agenda is the Zoning Board of Appeals report.
Madam Chair, we did not meet.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is communications. Ms. Povodicka, do we have any communications?
Yes, we have received 4 communications that are summarized on the slide. One from Kevin Love about the master plan received by email May 1st. Isabella County Planning Commission for the master plan received by email on June 13th. Union Township Planning Commission master plan received in person on June 20th. And Sue Yoder master plan received by email on July 30th.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the new business, the 2050 master plan update. Ms. Povodicka, if you would please introduce the item.
Yeah, so just to clarify, it is a public hearing, so I apologize for the notes there, Madam Chair.
Okay.
So we have a public hearing for the 2050 master plan update. I'm going to go through a few slides. So tonight, I'm just going to be talking about the master plan update process, so all the process that we've gone in the past year and a half. And then we're going to talk about the recommended changes based on the comments that we've received and have a discussion on those additional comments. So the recommended action tonight is for the Planning Commission to approve a resolution for the City Commission then to review the master plan and do the final adoption. So first, regarding the Mission Street Improvement Plan process, which is basically the main subject for this master plan amendment. We started the process in 2024. In March, we held a Planning Commission and Mission Picker DDA joint session, and we had MDOT coming to that meeting, providing us with new data on traffic counts for Mission Street, as well as safety issues. And they also had basically created a modeling on their system to analyze the feasibility of adding a boulevard onto the south portion of Mission Street. The outcomes of that was that it was feasible, it would improve safety, and it would improve how fast folks can go from point A to B while keeping the road safer as vehicles traverse through the road in a more in a slow manner, but they still can access the business and everything. So we got that information, which allowed us to then kick off the process for the Mission Street Improvement Plan. So in April, we did a walking audit with the consultants, Progressive Companies, who have been helping us with this project. And we convened a steering committee, which was then approved by the City Commission. Between April and May, we have done a community survey. We had really good results on that, which basically provided us more information from the steering committee as well as the general public regarding the corridor conditions. The outcome of that, as you may recall, is basically the safety is the main issue. We have a lot of locals avoiding Mission today, and the status quo was not okay, and folks were eager to see what changes could be made on the corridor. So during the June and July, so last summer, we had the State of the Corridor presentations to the Planning Commission, DDA, and City Commission. In September, we held a few public outreach opportunities. So we had a community open house here at City Hall, and then 2 pop-up events, one at the Farmers Market and one at Central Michigan University. In October, we had released the second community survey, which basically released draft design options for the corridor for all the implementation improvements that we would like to make, and collected feedback that way. And the outcome of that is, as you see in the master plan and also in the summary report, is a suite of several different approaches going from low-cost solutions to higher-cost solutions with more or less impact, but all that can contribute to increasing safety while ensuring access on Mission Street. And then on December, we had the steering committee finally approving the final draft, which is the Mission Street summary report, Mission in Motion, that you can see here on the slide, as well as a very detailed technical report that staff can utilize, so then we can work with MDOT on implementation of the plan on an incremental basis. In 2025, we had the DDA also approving the plan, since the match we received a grant from the Michigan Economic Development Corporation to create the plan, and the DDA paid for the 25% match that was required. So the DDA also approved the plan. And then we brought the plan to the Planning Commission for a presentation to make sure the Planning Commission was comfortable with the plan, as we were going to then include that in the master plan. So then now going towards the master plan update process summary, we have sent a notice of intent to plan to all adjacent jurisdictions as required by the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. We sent that over on May 22nd of 2024. Then as we went through the process of adopting the Mission Street Improvement Plan and then incorporating those changes into the master plan, that led us to 2025. In January, we had the Parks and Recreation Director discussing items for Book 4 regarding parks with the Parks and Recreation Commission. And then we had a meeting with the Planning Commission on April 2025. That's when the Planning Commission took action and submitted the plan to the City Commission. Parks and Recreation received a formal introduction of the changes to Book 4 as well as the master plan overall on April 22nd, 25, and Parks took action also to submit the plan to the City Commission. The City Commission then approved the plan for distribution and review, and no comments were sent back to the Planning Commission. So at that point in time, we have distributed the draft plan to all adjacent jurisdictions on May 1st of 2025 to review and comment for a 63-day review period, according again to the Michigan Planning Enabling Act. And then we had the Parks and Recreation Commission final public hearing and recent adoption of their resolution on July 22nd. And now we are here today to have the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and then review comments on today's meeting. And then the requested action will be to adopt the plan by resolution. And then finally, we are targeting going to the City Commission to have a final public hearing on the plan, which is targeted to September 8, 2025. So regarding comments received during the 63 review period, we received a comment from Isabella County Planning Commission. They read throughout the whole plan. So the letter here says that they did read every single page and did not find any concerns or provided any specific comments for any changes. So we received that. We received comments from the Union Township Planning Commission, and they did have a few items that they asked us to change. So the first one was regarding the location for the single roundabout that we are proposing on Mission. As a reminder, we had the 2020 master plan proposing multiple roundabouts throughout the corridor, but after identifying all the issues that we would have with implementing those roundabouts, we don't have right away enough to do them. We decided to then target just one location for a roundabout on the south end to make sure that we have then one on the north, one on the south, and provide better access that way. So Bluegrass has been identified, and Union Township asked that we consider moving that roundabout further south where Old Mission meets Mission Street. We decided not to address that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the changes that we decided to address. But basically, the idea here is that the Bluegrass intersection with Mission is very, very dangerous, and the roundabout in that location will help alleviate traffic, make traffic go slow and smoothly, as well as provide better crossing options for pedestrians and bikers. Obviously, we have to design that, but the location of it, we decided to maintain in the master plan to achieve our goals. Broomfield Road, US 127 interchange was another comment that they have provided. So we partially addressed that comment. The request was for us to consider the interchange to basically be kept in the same location, but also provide further connections to other parallel roads within Union Township. And the idea here is that we don't have any draft actual plans from MDOT, but if MDOT ever considers adding those ramps, that we were all going to be involved in the process of deciding precisely the location and access points. And the city will definitely be willing to work with Union Township and identify solutions that are going to be helpful for all of us. So we kept it the same. We just changed the text that I'm going to show you next. Rerouting of M20. So as you may recall, since we have already approved in the 2020 master plan, the new location for M20. So right now M20 goes on High Street and then up to Mission and then goes north on East Pickard, right? East of Mission Street. And then we have this proposal that has been in the master plan for the city of Mount Pleasant for a while to reroute M20 over to Lincoln and then to Pickard. So the request was that we did not ask or have that as a component of the master plan due to concerns of Lincoln Road not having the capacity to get the traffic, as well as East Pickard or West Pickard Street, which does not have enough right of way. We still kept it since it felt like it was a very important move for the master plan, and the city has had it for a while. So we kept that to be consistent and kind of trusting the process that we went through in the past, that is something that the community as a whole wants to see here in Mount Pleasant. The last one is the Broadway Street extension to Lincoln Road. This one was addressed, so I'm going to show you what that looks like next. So last, we received 2 comments from residents here in Mount Pleasant. I have provided responses to these comments. Most of them, I would say, are related to, one of them is related to the goal of walkability here in Mount Pleasant. The person who wrote basically didn't see a need to increase walkability in Mount Pleasant as most CMU students drive. But I provided some comments on our rationale for providing the option for those who don't want to, ride or for basically public health purposes, as well as to provide the options for those that don't own cars. The other comment was, I had a few items in it. I can speak to someone from the top of my head, but you have the comments here on the podium. The main one was about increasing housing and potential density in neighborhoods. So I provided more information about our CD4 district designation in the comments, and you can see here some illustrations that I put it as well. And then we had some comments about increasing amount of residents in Mount Pleasant and stress that could put in our public school system. And I just provided some comments on that as well, that we received also the opposite types of concerns of removing seats from the public school. So you can read through the packet, and if you have questions, let me know. So recommended changes. We have the West Broadway Street extension, and then we have the second change that to remove a reference to Broomfield in the US 127 interchange discussion and clarify the precise location and specific design subject to MDOT's procedures. So the first one I'm going to start with the Broomfield US 127 ramps. It's just a title change. And then you can see the language with the underline that was added after receiving comments. And here you can see more closely what the new language is. So we just added the last sentence. The proposed interchange location is the city's preferred alternative, but would require extensive analysis by MDOT along with detailed design work. The next change is the Broadway extension. This is the map that we had in the draft master plan. After receiving comments, we have added that dash line on the future transportation plan map to show the West Broadway Street extension. We also made a change to the rerouting M20 map to reflect the same. So in the future, if M20 is ever rerouted to Lincoln and Pickard Street, then Broadway, and if Broadway is ever extended all the way to Lincoln, provided that we get developments to occur there within the city limits as well as in township limits, there is a potential connectivity of Broadway to M20 in that way. And then we also added this new language on that same page of the M20 page. It would also better, so the M20 change would also better enable connections from downtown to Central Michigan University. And furthermore, as development occurs on vacant land west of Bradley Street, it gives the opportunity to extend Broadway to M20. That concludes the presentation. So if you have questions, you have a copy of Book 2, which received these changes, and it was included in the packet. But if you have any questions about anything that I presented, let me know. Oh, and I forgot to mention, we also have our consultant, Jason Ball, online. So if you have questions to the consulting team, they can also help tonight.
Okay. Thank you. Do any members of the planning commission have any questions for Ms. Plovidyko? Or Mr. Ball?
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. The Broadway extension, if that were to happen, if I remember right, if you were to extend Broadway straight out west, wouldn't it cut through the funeral home property? Or is the intention to make it jog around that?
So from what I recall, we only have vacant property there. It's around like 35 acres in aggregate. There is a gap between two parcels. So Broadway will go on that gap.
Yeah, I feel like it goes right through their parking lot on the north side of their property though. I mean, better if it went straight, but
Yeah,
at least that's what I recall.
okay. Let me open the map here just to make sure.
Because I feel like when I drive down to the end of Broadway to turn there, if I went straight, I'd be going right into the driveway of the funeral home.
Gotcha. Yeah, so the idea with that Broadway extension is really if development occurs, then we would be able to work with applicants to then extend Broadway Street. And then we will look at the zoning ordinance for guidance on that thoroughfare design. And the process for the city of Mount Pleasant to doing that is to request a development parcel plan.
Yeah.
So during the development parcel plan process, we would ensure that if there are issues like the barrier you're talking about, that we can then design in a way that would work.
Okay. Yeah, my concern is that if it doesn't go straight, it's almost just a different street. And you'd be
Okay.
going down Broadway to the end, turning right, and then turning left again. And I don't know if that's really that helpful. It
Mhm.
might cause a traffic backups right there if it's a very busy road. The other question is, because the township had a number of questions, in the development of our own master plan, do we talk to the the township? Because it seems like a lot of the issues that they had to do with proper the border between the city and the township. So I think we really would need to get a lot of input from them as well to go
Mhm.
along with some of these issues that they had with the plan. That's it.
Yeah,
It's not,
yeah,
not much of a question, just a comment.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I'd add to that comment. I mean, being a little bit repetitive, but there's a lot of references in here to inconsistencies with their own plan. And whether our, intention to propose things without reviewing their plans or to formulate our plans without kind of coordinating with them, it's kind of, I think it's worth
Mhm.
considering in the future, yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
County as well, possibly, or? Sure.
The county didn't have any issues.
No. All right.
Just the township did.
So yeah, so just to talk a little bit about coordination. So I have monthly meetings with their economic development director and liaison to the planning commission. The roundabout idea was brought up in the very beginning of stages of the Mission Street Improvement Plan. And I brought that up to MDOT. And when we were in the process of checking if that would be a good alternative to move it southern to Old Mission and where it intersects with 127. The overall outcome of that is that one, the location on Bluegrass will help with that intersection. So if we move it south, we also have then to treat that intersection in another way. Two, regarding grant access, if we moved it southern, we wouldn't be able to qualify for the Carbon Reduction Act, which is one of the grant funding sources that MDOT is trying to explore for that construction of the roundabout. They submitted to Lansing this year. We were not selected for funding, but they would like to try again next year. So the Bluegrass and Mission has enough statistics on unsafe outcomes that would then allow us, and also traffic counts that would allow us to qualify for grant funding. So the question came to be, it's a very hard question. Do we move it? Basically, one of the main goals with the Union Township comment is that roundabouts, they can be complicated for pedestrians, right? My goal with that and keeping in that location is that we're going to be working with MDOT to design it in a way that is safe for pedestrians, because obviously we get pedestrians on that location. But again, the kind of big question that comes is with grant funding is, do we try to move it and we have to find another grant source or another funding source for that construction? Or do we keep it where it is, which still achieves a lot of our goals to reduce traffic speed, be more of a gateway to Mission Street, all of those things, and improve the intersection treatment for all modes of transportation, while being able to potentially do it in the near term if we get that grant approved.
If it were to be moved to the old Mission, wouldn't that be completely outside the city?
It would be complete outside of the city.
Is that Union Township then?
Yes. So they would like to, the request was for us to move that roundabout to their land.
They want us to pay for the work in
I
their,
guess they would.
or would they come up with their own fundings? Would
They
they
don't
apply
have
for
it.
the?
Yeah, they don't have funding right now. I did ask that question.
I see.
So it's more like it's a plan, right? It's a plan change, and if we find funding, it can be built by MDOT.
I mean, is it potentially they have the same funding sources as we would have?
Yes, absolutely, because it's MDOT route anyways. But again, after consulting with MDOT, they said that the Bluegrass location has chances to get funded, whereas moving it to Old Mission doesn't.
Oh.
And I was on the Mission Street Steering Committee, and one of the main goal, I mean, like the top by a large percent, was that the community and everybody having input, like all parties involved, the main goal is to make Mission safer for pedestrians and drivers. And we even had, I mean, not that long ago, a death, right, not far from there. So the main focus that they showed with that corridor and that intersection was the worst of, like, they did a heat map of like how many traffic incidences of car to car and car to pedestrian, and just there's a lot of that intersection is very high. And so in all of the things that we looked at and the walking tour and statistics of things, MDOT was we did bring up that that's a pretty heavily used pedestrian intersection, especially CMU game days and things like that. And how would that impact, if a roundabout, we could see that, yes, statistically, the roundabout would provide safety for drivers, but how would that impact, because that's really where students walk on those game days. And they had plans that are very successful in a lot of other communities that have big and even bigger roundabouts that they said that can very easily be implemented for the safety of pedestrians to continue to use that area. So that was, after some discussion and a lot of options looked at, I mean, that was what we were able to feel like could be the best way to address And it's not so much of just like, okay, we're looking to put a roundabout somewhere. It was that we were looking to improve the safety of that intersection. And hopefully not have any other deaths. I mean, that was a pretty significant, we had, I mean, when you look at the heat map of those accidents, it's solid red through there. And so, it's really addressing that specific intersection.
So how do you make it safe for pedestrians in a roundabout? I can't think of a solution for that. You have some examples you can give me?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it definitely seems safer for cars, but I don't know. With cars constantly coming through, I don't know how you get pedestrians across that street.
Yeah, I would say I had at least an hour conversation with Union Township on precisely that.
Well, I don't need an hour, just a sum.
And I'm going to be very transparent. I come from a background that is very likely very different than what folks experience here in Michigan. I have lived through many roundabouts and all of them extremely walked, very much in urban dense centers, and they work. I've seen them. Location of crosswalks is very important. So the geometry of it, you have to put that crosswalk where it's narrower, not go to the corners, right? Which we see a lot of crosswalks at corners. So you have to bring that further back so there is enough space for vehicles to see the pedestrian as they are making their turns. The problem that Union Township brought over and over again is when you are in a roundabout, your sight is kind of changing, right? Your direction is changing. But if you place that crosswalk in the precise location that is, the precise geometry that is safe, then you're going to be able to get into the street and then you're going to be able to see a pedestrian and stop. It's a yield system. So if you see a vehicle approaching, so as soon as you're approaching a roundabout, you're going to be slowing your speed. If you see a car that slows the speed even further because there is a pedestrian, you're going to stop and you're not going to actually proceed into the roundabout if you see a vehicle that's stopping in front of you. So the whole system works if it's done correctly. In the worst case scenario, I've seen signals that are, if you are walking and let's say it's a game day, you could press a button and then traffic stops. So that could be implemented in case we have the very large events with a lot of foot traffic. Potentially, you could do that.
That
So
essentially
those are
just
some of
turns it
the-
into a intersection with stoplights then, no?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I don't think that's the best solution for that, but
Yeah, but yeah. So
maybe you have police directing traffic on game day. Maybe that's a better solution for big events like that.
right, absolutely. Yeah.
So what you're saying though is that, for the roundabout, there's nothing within the roundabout for pedestrians. It's all on, just as you get
On
off
the
the
edges.
roundabout on all
Mhm.
four
Yeah.
sides. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Can
as a
I-
pedestrian,
Can I
you're.
add just one thing to that, Manuela?
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
go ahead, Jason. Mhm.
I just add to that one of the positive impacts of doing pedestrian crossings at roundabouts is you get to give a break in the middle. So roundabouts typically have islands that separate where cars enter and leave each of the directions coming through. So as you're crossing as a pedestrian, that island is a place to stop. So you're only crossing traffic coming from one direction at a time versus having to cross an intersection where you've got traffic coming from both directions, cars making rights, cars making lefts, et cetera. So that's the benefit. As a pedestrian, you only have to look one way, cross, and then look the other way and go the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Can I just ask one more question about the response from the Union Township, their official statement here of conflicts and incompatibilities? I'm sorry if you may have mentioned it, but what does the city plan to do in response or with regards to analyzing and possibly incorporating those concerns, or does it come back to us on some level?
So I've asked specifically which plans that they have that are pointing to different directions, right? That we're being consistent with. I did not get anything back. So I don't know exactly what plans, if we have, maps somewhere. I think we obviously have an open line of communication, and one thing that we can do is to join the two commissions if there is something very specific that we want to work through. As part of this process, we took it at staff level, discussed, and then decided to propose the changes that came to you today.
Very good. Sounds as well like we've certainly met the obligation of the law and done our due diligence, so thank you.
Okay, seeing no further questions, now I will open up the public, open to public comment at this point? Okay, so open to public comment, related to this case. If there are any members of the public who wish to speak at this time, please come to the podium and state your name and address, and you will have up to 5 minutes to speak.
Hello, my name is Joseph Carrion. I live on 109 North Arnold Street, and I want to speak on this page specifically, so thank you, Manuela, for having that up. Why does it matter what the 2050 master plan says if you all aren't going to follow it? Isn't this document supposed to help you guide your decisions? Then why doesn't this commission even reference it in the slightest when discussing projects? Like, why was the gas station approved to be built on the intersection of Pickard and Main with no reference at all to the master plan, when the master plan clearly shows a gas station doesn't belong there? Book 2, page 10, right there, clearly states two things. The first thing is that area is labeled as mixed use. Last I checked, a gas station is the complete opposite of that. And second, that intersection shows to be getting a multimodal gateway. Why wasn't it required for you to explain how a multimodal gateway and a gas station could coexist in this area? Also, book 3, pages 17 to 19, shows in even more detail how we want that area to look like. Because if you do get a multimodal gateway now, it would have to go north of Pickard. That means you're forcing everyone that lives south of Pickard, which is basically everyone, to have to cross a gas station and a very busy road just to utilize this gateway, which would greatly reduce the amount of people willing to walk or bike to this gateway. Forget updating the 2050 master plan. You guys need to fix your communication with the citizens. I had no idea this project was even happening until I saw the recording of the June 5th meeting. My first thought was, oh, I guess I'll prepare a speech now for the city commission meeting, but here we are 2 months later. The other public hearings from that June 5th meeting made it to the city commission, but not this one for some reason. So it looks like I'm just screwed for any public hearings that don't make it to the city commission level, because I'll never be notified despite being one of the most engaged citizens in the city. Now, I understand the 300-foot requirements for mailing letters, and I'm not here to say you need to extend that. But it should be mandatory that anyone who signs up for the Mount Pleasant e-newsletters gets an email days before the meeting with the agenda, just like I already do with the city commission, especially if not all public hearings need to go to the city commission level. There is no excuse that this doesn't exist when that feature already exists for the city commission. Public hearings shouldn't be the last step of a process, but that is another problem entirely. The least we can do now is send out the agenda early to those that want it. You all have to fix this. And for my feedback on the master plan, prove to the people you actually care what's in the books before asking us to care.
Hello, my name is Kathy Martin. I live at 401 East Palmer Street, and I wasn't expecting that, but what he said. I just discovered that there was this meeting for the public comments on the master plan, and I've made it a point of getting the master plan. It's very well done. It's impressive. I've looked at the 2014, 2015 master plan, and I've gotten a copy of the 2025 master plan, and it's really well done. And again, I would ask the same question. There was a lot of time and effort. There was a lot of public input that was put into making that. But when it comes to actually following it, it seems like there's no guarantee. If somebody has a special use permit that's going to possibly bring some tax money in, we can just make the master plan go away. It doesn't matter. The master plan talks about traffic calming. The project plan for Pickard and Main and Palmer is not going to calm traffic at all. The neighbors in the neighborhoods, the residents that are going to be affected by this really do have a right to be involved in some of this. And this project was a very well-kept secret. It was not made public. Yeah, you would have had to have dug for it and know that it was coming. But now that we've had a lot of time to do research, we have all sorts of substantial evidence to show that a gas station does not belong in a residential area, no matter what. So when it comes to the master plan, I say follow it. It's a great plan. Do your best to incorporate it into new projects that are coming up. And don't change it just for the sake of somebody wanting to put in a taxable project for the city. There's other ways of gaining that money that doesn't involve harming the residents, because the people need to matter more than the profit.
Yeah, Ray Davies on South Crawford Street. I just had a question about when the master plan was being developed, I had an image that maybe there would be some pedestrian bridges over Mission Street, like bridges that I see in Madison, Wisconsin, and other places, take pedestrians over really busy roads. Was that at all floated or ruled out? Or I'm not sure it'd be appropriate for, say, Bluegrass and Mission, but is that a reasonable thing to think about? So that's my question. Maybe somebody can enlighten me on that.
Is there anyone else from our public here in person? Seeing none. Is there anyone online?
I don't see anyone on Zoom. I'm just double checking email. Just give me 1 second. I don't see anyone on email.
Okay. I will close public comment and open discussion.
Ms. Povodako, were pedestrian bridges ever talked about during the Mission Street improvement plan process?
I believe someone may have thrown there. I don't know if it was in the steering committee or the public that attended a meeting, but I remember that topic. Basically the discussion on pedestrian bridges is that, have you ever, my question would be if you ever walked a pedestrian bridge, or if you're talking about folks who are physically, disabled, it takes a long time, takes a lot of effort, even with all the ADA access. It makes sense when there's no other way to make crossing safer for pedestrians. So if we had to get pedestrians from across one US 127, that is the way to go. I've used a few in very, very wide roads in New York City, but those are really roads that don't give access to businesses directly. Those are roads that are for you to go from point A to point B. Vehicles are traversing very, very, very fast. And so that may be the only route to take, is either over or under. But yeah, with Mission Street, the idea here is that Mission has become more of a destination in itself. So the idea is to keep everybody leveled with the businesses and continue to provide access.
Agree with, from the meetings, the pedestrian overpasses were discussed, and looking at that we would really want, the safety and was also in regards to accessibility for all of our residents and visitors, and wanting to increase the safety and ADA accessibility usage of all of our pedestrian crossings. And so that eliminates that access for anyone that has any assistance needs. And so we're really looking to improve that instead of taking away what we had. So, and there was a lot of statistics, a lot of really well-researched information that was provided, and why that really wasn't even on one of the high options of what was looked at. I mean, we looked at it, but it ended up being one that wasn't one of the final decisions when we were looking at what we proposed. Right, do I have a motion on this item?
Move to approve the attached resolution recommending that the city commission adopt the 2050 master plan.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion passes. The next item on our agenda is public comment. Members of the public are invited to come forward and address the planning commission. We typically reserve this time for comments related, not related to public hearings. So if you wish to speak, please come forward and state your name and address, and you will be given up to 5 minutes.
Joseph Carrion, 109 North Arnold Street. I'm here to discuss something that you said in the June 5th meeting when discussing the gas station project that absolutely pissed me off. You said, as we enter into this discussion time, I just want to do a friendly reminder that I'm very thankful, and I think we're all very thankful for a community to make your voices heard. But per state law, our job as the Planning Commission is to make sure that we are making our decision on whether this proposal does or does not meet compliance, not based on our personal opinion. What a fancy way of telling the public that their opinions don't matter. How would you feel if you got a letter in the mail saying they were building a prison next door to your house, and to voice your concerns at the public hearing just for the commissioners to say, our job isn't to listen to you? If what you said is true, what's the point of having public hearings? Hell, what's the point of even having a panel to vote on these projects? By your logic, compliance is objectively black and white. That means you guys voting means nothing. It's either compliant or it's not. By your logic, it shouldn't be possible to have a 6-2 vote like it was for this gas station. Also, Manuela can already tell us if these projects are compliant or not. We don't need you for that. How is this really your job when there are no real requirements for this position? Were all of you appointed because you know the zoning codes, fire codes, laws inside and out? God knows none of you are subject matter experts on the master plan. It sounds to me like the only reason you said that is so you can avoid the moral and ethical responsibilities that come with this job. Because you can't be the bad guy if you're just doing your job. Am I right? And what's even more comical is immediately after you said that, another commissioner said he was going to vote no solely because of the opposition of the people. His no vote had absolutely nothing to do with whether or not the gas station was compliant. Was he reprimanded for voting incorrectly? What about the other commissioner that voted no? Why aren't the no votes required to explain exactly where these projects aren't compliant to justify their no votes? Isn't that important? Because by your logic, you should all be forced to vote no if a single commissioner votes no, because that project is by definition no longer compliant, as compliant isn't an opinion. Those are your words. So if that really is state law and you're going to continue ignoring the people, then stop having public hearings. Stop wasting our time. Let the city commissioners handle public hearings from here on out then. And you best believe that after this incident, I will expose every bit of incompetency and stupidity this commission says and does. You better be certain that every yes vote from here on out is objectively 100% compliant. And if what she said is wrong, then at minimum, she and any other commissioner that agrees with her rhetoric needs to give a public apology to everyone that was at that meeting, because what you said unanimously was interpreted as a big FU to our public hearings. Just ask the people who attended that meeting.
All right, is there anyone else here in the public that would like to make a public comment? Okay, seeing none, is there anyone online?
No one online.
I will close public comment. The next item on our agenda is the housing report update. Ms. Povidico?
All right, so I have here tonight our planning and community development intern, Yu Yang Ding, who will be presenting a status update about the 2025 housing report.
Good evening. I'll give a short presentation on public engagement in our 2025 housing report. We did make a survey in June on targeting local real estate agents, and we want to understand the housing market from the supply side perspective. Well, now I gave you a copy of the survey, and the survey is about 24 questions covering 6 topics, including market conditions / trends, affordability / pricing, housing inventory, buyer / seller profiles, barriers and opportunities, and neighborhood characteristics. We sent out this survey on June 23rd through email, and the example questions are like, who's your renter / buyer audience? What do you think about the city's housing supply? And now we are considering having a new survey for city residents, including owners and renters, as we want to understand the living experiences from the demand side perspective. The survey has 2 versions. One is for renters and another is for owners. Each one has about 15 questions, and it takes about 3 minutes to complete. Questions 3 to 16 are for renters. Question 17 to 29 are for owners. We believe September is the best time to send out this survey as people come back to work, students come back to school, and we plan to put this survey on city's monthly newsletter, social media, and news media. We're also considering asking landlords and also housing partners to share it. And this survey comprises 3 sections, including household information, housing condition and satisfaction, and affordability. Example questions are like, what type of buildings / units do you live in? Are you satisfied with your current housing? Now, hopefully we can get some feedback from you on like the survey questions, timing, and also methods. Thank you.
I think the timing is good. I believe so. We're gonna get more of an influx of the population around that time. So I think if you're gonna cast a wide net, might as well make sure there's a lot of more people you can catch, so.
And if you have comments or suggestions after the meeting too, feel free to just write to us. We would love to have your input. I think just to give some background, I had one planning commissioner come to the office asking that we created a survey. The point of view was that when discussing housing related rezonings in the previous city commission meetings, there wasn't enough, this is the planning commissioner speaking to me, that there wasn't enough representation from renters in the room. So I think the goal is to try to capture some of the existing experiences from both owners of housing in Mount Pleasant as well as renters. And then one request that I have for all of you is to help me spread the word to realtors. If you know anybody or any company that we should, really call them and talk with them. We're looking for the realtors that are more on the housing market, so we can understand it from their perspective as well, things that they have observed on the ground.
You want them just to contact your office, Manuel? Okay.
Yeah. We can do a phone interview, we can do it in person, we can simply send it and receive comments by email too.
We'll spread the word.
I do have a question in regards to the surveys for the renters. Is there going to be a way to differentiate if the renters are like student renters that like this is their secondary house, like home, or if it's like a renter that this is their primary living community.
Yeah, I believe that Yu Young has put that in the survey questions, right? If you want.
Yeah, in question two, like we asked, are you a university student? Do you rent or own your current residence?
The way the survey works, so he's drafting this on a platform that you would answer just a few basic questions, and then you would take you to either the rental questions or the owner occupied questions.
Any further questions? Thank you. All right, do any members of the planning commission have any questions in general for Ms. Povidico? At this time, if there's no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, staff report. Sorry, I skipped ahead. Sorry.
All right, so I have a few projects to report. Those were administrative approvals. So we had site plan review 2508 for 1402 East Preston is the Faith Lutheran Church, and they requested to remove the freestanding bell tower that they have and then move or build a new tower immediately north of that location. The precise location is that triangular area here. So the city review team has reviewed the project and approved the site plan. The second one is SPR 2509 for 512 South Mission Street. It's MP Fit Club. The owner approached us asking that they remove the existing garage building and then repair and restripe the parking lot with 3 new parking spaces to be created and kind of kept in the same spot, but without the garage building on top. Next, we have SPR 2510 for 1029 Douglas. The applicant has requested the removal of a portion of the parking space along the frontage and then replacement of the landscape edge. Oh, sorry, I just realized I copied the wrong one here. So this is on the industrial park north area. And, oh, no, that's correct. Sorry. I just had a lot of administrative approvals. So the replacement of the existing landscape edge, which is this area right here on the north or on the west side of the lot. And then the hardscape was really deteriorating, so they just wanted to remove the concrete. So basically reduce the amount of impervious surfaces and then replace with new landscaping. And then to do that, they also had to move their mailbox. The next one is SPR 2511 for 101 South Mission Street. So for this one, it's a very simple schematic, but we looked at some photos as well. The applicant is just trying to add a ADA ramp on the sidewalk, so you can go. So he's basically proposing to remove a portion of the sidewalk that loops around the building, and then increase that sidewalk to include a ramp as well. And it's a business on Mission Street. Next, we have SPR 2512 for 407 South Main Street. So the existing owner of this 3-unit house would like to build a new sidewalk that connects the public sidewalk all the way to his parking area in the back of the house. So it's this area here. So it's a sidewalk connection. That concludes the presentation on the administrative approvals. And then I do have a new item. We unfortunately received a resignation from Erwin. So Erwin is no longer going to be part of the Planning Commission. His final term was about to expire in December. So it has been a while that he has felt he didn't have a lot of time to donate to the Planning Commission. So that he decided to resign effectively immediately. But he would try to come to a next Planning Commission meeting just to say hi to everybody and collect his recognition award for all his years of services. So he started back in 2014 and was going to serve until the end of this year. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Any members of the Planning Commission have any questions for Ms. Povidico? At this time, if there's no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Wasn't there was supposed to be a particular plan. Was
I voted yes on the voted yes for the gas station,